Good evening, once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Shadow Gallery. I am, as always, your host, James Donnelly. And guess what time it is on that watch, boys and girls? It is time for new comics, bitches! So, this was a very decent week. It's about the best that I can say about it. There was nothing that was a real highlight. I mean, like a really great comic. There was nothing that was a really bad comic. They were all just kind of, most of them were just kind of good. You know, and that's, it's weird when we have, a weak lineup like this, because, there generally is some good, something really great that stands out. So I'm just going to kind of break it down piece by piece, bit by bit. We'll start with Avenging Spider-Man, #1. So this is Zeb Wells and Joey Mad doing, basically it's a resurrection of Marvel team-up, which I love the idea of. I bought this one digitally because I knew that by the time I got there, the comic stores were going to be sold out of it. And they were. Now, the first exposure that I had to Joe Mad's work was on The Ultimates 3. And those of you who know me and also have read The Ultimates 3 know that The Ultimates 3 is absolute garbage. Not only did the art style not fit the characters, but also Jeff Loeb's horrible, horrible writing completely deflated, and pretty much stopped me from reading them until Mark Millar picked it up again with, Ultimate Comics Avengers, which wasn't nearly as good as his previous stuff. But then, obviously, doing, the Ultimates versus, the new Ultimates versus the Avengers, that was pretty damn cool. And of course, the whole tie into the death of Spider-Man. Anywho, so Avenging Spider-Man. This fits Joe's art style a lot better than fucking Ultimates did, because his style is too cartoony. It's too kind of comic booky to really suit the more realistic take that the Avengers, or that the Ultimates were kind of built on, with someone like Brian Hitch. So, Zeb Wells really does the funny very well. I mean, I cracked up when, when he's there with Red Hulk, who is now Thunderbolt Ross, who I didn't know, for a while, until somebody told me. Excuse me. And he makes that crack about the Kool-Aid. It's like, that's funny stuff right there. And, just a lot of other quips and, little things here. And one of the things that I admired about the Marvel team-up, that I thought was cool about Marvel team-up, was essentially all of the issues were kind of one-offs. But now we have really come into an age where everything has to be serialized. And that, it has its drawbacks and it has its good parts. I mean, obviously, things having more of a through line that is, is nice, but also having, comics that are essentially kind of one-offs are also kind of nice too, especially when you've got someone like Dan Slott, who is doing Amazing Spider-Man and is doing, the best Spider-Man work I've ever read. God damn it. Got a tickle in my throat, excuse me. So, so Zeb Wells doing this, it just kind of feels a little unnecessary. But it's fun. It's a very solid comic, believe me. I mean, it's 4 out of 5 stars. Very solid work. A lot of the stuff this week is about 4 out of 5. So, anyway, moving on. But like I said, final thoughts, it just didn't really feel like we needed another Spider-Man title. Okay, so Batgirl, #3. Gail Simone, again, kind of really stepping up her game now. with this title. Um, with although the kind of major event in this comic seems kind of like an afterthought. I mean, the whole explosion on the train and everything like that all seems kind of okay. Why aren't we talking more about this? Because ultimately you have the kind of meet cute, fight cute, a little bit of history between, Nightwing and Batgirl, between Babs and Dick. And there's something inherently charming about the way that, I mean, because, obviously Gail Simone knows Batgirl so well. She's so invested in this character, which is why she's the perfect choice to write this comic, with Barbara Gordon at the helm. I still have yet to read Brian Miller's whole run on Stephanie Brown Batgirl. But I'm kind of looking forward to that when I have some more time. But anywho, again, throwing in some backstory. Again, the whole kind of 5-year thing that's been 5 years since, well, the whole beginning of everything in the Marvel universe, or in the DC universe. That is just, I mean, it's such a stupid idea. And I know that a lot of people out there, and I know that a lot of people working for DC have got to disagree with it. Have got to, agree with that sentiment, that it was a stupid idea to put a time frame on these characters. Especially the Bat family, because, they've been in it since they, since some of them were, pre-teens. I mean, Robin, Jason Todd, Dick Grayson, Jason Todd. I mean, they were, barely in their teen. They were, 10, 11, maybe 12 years old when they first started. So, anyway, that reminds me of the one comic that I didn't get this week that I really did want to get, which is the Batman Brave and the Bold, which has, it's the Batman Dies at Dawn, where all of the Robins from all of the realities come together, including the Carrie Kelly Robin, of course, from Dark Knight Returns. But that makes me think of Frank Miller, and that's someone I don't really want to think of right now. Especially if you've heard about what's been going on with Frank Miller and his Occupy Wall Street, like idiotic rant. So anyway, moving along. So that's, again, another 4 out of 5. The art's a little hit and miss. Adrian Saif, art's a little hit and miss in this issue. But for the most part, it's there. But sometimes it just seems a little too glossy. So anyway, moving along. Okay, so Demon Knights, number 3. Now this was pretty close to my book of the week, because I love this title. I think it's great. The more delightfully twisted events of the last issue have given way to more serious issues. And such as, and one of them, of course, is establishing character a little bit more, and the sacrifice that Madame Xanadu makes, and of course Etrigan's reaction to it, so I mean, this is a heavy book. This is very dense, and it's a very heavy read. However, it hops around a lot because it's covering so many characters, and sometimes things get a little confusing. With this kind of new player on the table, the Horsewoman. Exoristos. I mean, some of these characters that I don't know very well, I'm really excited to learn more about, and as I write here, this is indeed a savage time that these characters are inhabiting. I mean, if you look at what happens in the finale of this issue, I mean, that's pretty fucking dark. No matter what slant you try and put on that. So I mean, that's just heavy shit. Okay, but again, 4 out of 5. Very solid work across the board. Diogenes Neves, he's killing it on the art in this comic. So it's, this is one of my favorite titles out of the New 52, and I've liked Paul Cornell for a while now, and this is just more proof that he's really, really significant talent. Quick thoughts. Crossed Psychopath, number 6. Now, if you've read any of Crossed, which it started out with, it was Garth Ennis basically writing a survival horror story, and Garth Ennis is a brilliant writer, so and he does this kind of very twisted, very sick, really fucked up and depraved stuff, but he also, when he was originally doing the series, he really also concentrated on character work. And, we were able to, we had a very solid sense of dread. And, the Crossed were just, these, they weren't, it was, it took the zombie, survival horror genre and, gave it this little twist that works incredibly well, that they're not just, they're not dead, but they do work essentially in the same way. They infect in the same way. And, they're just reduced to these absolutely insane, and depraved, disgusting creatures. And then David Lapham, of Stray Bullets fame, and also did a really excellent Daredevil versus Punisher series for Marvel. He took this into not a totally different direction, but with Family Values, he basically took out the character development and just made it all psychotic. And with Crossed Psychopath, he's done that one even further. I mean, it's, as I wrote down here, and so, now that, now that David Lapham is writing it, it's 100% fucked up shit, all fucked up all the time. There's no reprieve from how depraved and disgusting this book can become. I don't really know even why I read it, other than the fact that, the Crossed idea is interesting to me, but, these issues just, they aren't doing it for me. So we'll be right back, and we'll talk more comic books. Okay? So stick around.